Order, order. We're now starting our session of the International Development Select Committee on displaced people, something which has got a lot of attention in recent weeks, months and years. And we thought it was really important to hear from people firsthand who have had the misfortune of experiencing that. So we're joined by two women today, Fatimah and Zohal. And I wonder if you could both introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your journey. So what drove you to being displaced from your home, and then what happened after that? Zohal, if I could start with you, please.
Yes, I'm really honored today that I can talk here my experience in my own journey that what happened to me, and I don't want to take your time too much as well. I'm Zohal Rahimi, 24 years old, and studied at Kabul Polytechnic University. Before Taliban came, I had a good life with my family, relatives, and I have dreamed that I can work one day and I can keep my family and people, especially women's, strong. That because we think we were lady weakness. But I have a good friend by the name of Saila that unfortunately she passed away in Kabul bomb blast. And I promised myself that no problem. It is what happened, and we follow. I will follow after your dreams. It's only not my dreams, your dreams, and my dreams the same. But unfortunately, the circumstances changed, and I never thought that, oh my God, one day I will leave Afghanistan and these things happen to me. My whole relatives, like my uncle, my father, my brother, and especially me, working for government, and me recently started my new job at Geology and Mines Ministry in Afghanistan. And for 4 months, I worked there. And beside my university, I taught in different courses as an English instructor and also in different subjects at the courses and a school. But unfortunately, when these Taliban came and everything banned for us, university work, I really remember the day which I was in the office and the course, and the police are came. And sorry, not police. The Taliban's are came with their guns, and they told us that why the women are here. Especially looked at me that why you are here with this style. I said, okay, my clothes is already okay. What's the problem? But they said you have to not come in this anymore. So I did not giving up. I joined to different demonstration against them. But I really remember the last demonstration, which the Taliban arrested us, and we were in jail for 4 hours. Then they took us 25,000 and the fingerprint and the picture of us, and then broken our phone, and they released us and said you have never should participated in any other demonstration against Taliban. So we moved to another provinces. They hit my brother as well, my father, and they arrested my uncle and my auntie that worked for NGOs, and especially me. It was really heartbreaking. So we moved to another provinces, Ghazni, but unfortunately there I help girls, teach them secretly. But again, they find me and they arrested us, and also forced marriage happened to me. So in the whole story wasn't suitable for us, so we decided to come to Pakistan. Why I choose Pakistan? Because it was near and we can get the visa. So my mom sold her gold and everything, and the car we had, the house. We decided to come to Pakistan, and we got very in a hard condition the visa. When we come to the border, the Turkhan border was closed, and we just go from another border that called Spin Boldak, Balochistan. That's also another way to come to Pakistan. Then after 4 nights and day, we crossed the border because my small brother he didn't had any visa. Because of that, it was really challenging. So finally, we crossed the border and we came to Balochistan, Quetta. But there, everything was closed, and I decided to come to Islamabad. Here, I thought maybe in Islamabad I can find a good job for myself because I already knew English as well, and Pashto as well, and Persian as well. Maybe these three languages, okay, a little bit Urdu. But unfortunately, when I come to Islamabad, I thought, oh my God, we are just people are looking to us when they hire us. We are Afghan. They're looking at us like a criminal. Everything was difficult for us, and especially the language barrier. My grandma was sick, and I went with her to hospitals. They are just behave with us not like a human. It happened to us. And unfortunately, we went to university or other supporting help it, but no one helped us, especially me. I tried to find job for myself, but I wasn't able. They told me you are Afghan and we can't hire Afghan people. So with lots of challenges, I find a job in a course. There are also Afghans, and we started to help refugees without not that much high salary. We help them with their language and something like that. But unfortunately, last year in 20 23 as well and 2024 and the new year of 2024. It was, I really remember the January, the police of Pakistan, they come and they arrested Afghan refugees and they deported my brother and father, and it happened that whole my family left Pakistan and I was just here. I thought with myself, maybe I can run my life here, but I faced two really challenges: insecure here, anxiety, pressure. I even applied for a scholarship, but unfortunately I couldn't be able to go there. Some of them want money and I don't have that much money to go there, and I tried to run my life here. And I lost my job again because in this year also the police are coming in. Trust me, they are coming by really rude behavior, and they are coming with their dirty shoes to our house. And this house that you are looking to me, I am with my cousin, so she was taking bathroom here, but unfortunately the police are coming with their dirty shoes and told me, open the bathroom, we want to check if there anyone or not. I said, trust me, she is my cousin. I told her that please talk very loudly that the police can hear you. Now I have my valid visa, my passport, but after 24th of March it's going to be finished. I don't know what to do. And now I really miss my hope as well, my dreams, nothing, but still a little bit hopeful that finally foreigners can help us, like for scholarships or any other things. Even now I miss my family. I don't know where my family, they are in Afghanistan, not friends, not family, anyone that I can even stop my tears. But another problem with really, I'm not safe in these days. Every day they are coming to our house. Even I said we are in Ramadan, we have fast. So it is our valid visa, it's our passport, it's everything. But they again did not accept. Like yesterday they came, yesterday they came to our house, and my cousin, she just her visa expired just on tracking ID. So she hid on the roof, but still they are coming and looking everywhere and shouting a lot. It said, you are refugees, you have to leave Pakistan. I said, okay, we are paying for your rent. It is very expensive for your groceries, everything. But why you are behave with us like even you are not behaving with animals that you are behaving with us. And especially when I'm going to road, it was about 1 hour. I went to the road that I brought some bread, something like that. They are asking, oh, Afghans, still you are here. How is possible you can walk without passport and without visa? And then I said, I have everything and really don't know what to do. It's not only about me. Like I teach small children English. Their mothers, and they called us and said, teacher, what should we do? Now we are not in Islamabad, we are in another places, but still we need someone to teach us. I said, and really, I don't know what to do. And I later requested something happen for these refugees. Maybe I'm kind of still hopeful. Even for myself, I don't have any dream, anything, but inshallah, maybe I would like to hear something good from you. And thank you so much for this chance to giving me. My story is too much, but I'm trying to give chance for Fatimah as well. Thank you so much.
How your story is too much for one woman, because what you described...
It is actually just a little bit, just a small one. The others I don't want because it may be my heart breaking again, and that's why I'm just skipping some of them. Now I'm also teaching Afghan girls online, but free. And yeah, what I can do is what I can do. Others, I don't know what to do.
And I say thank you for what you're doing, because what you're doing is more than most of us are able to do without all of the pressures that you've got on you.
Yeah.
And you are a remarkable woman, and very, very strong,
very
brave, and I admire you enormously.
Thank you so much.
But I'm shocked and disappointed to hear about the daily harassment that you're getting.
My students, they are arrested, and the girls, they are calling me, the teacher, we can't see you anymore. You are very kind and like this. I couldn't realize how they behave with them in the camp. They collected refugees and put them to the camp, then expelled it to Afghanistan with their really bad behavior. So that's what is going on here. Now they are coming every day with stresses. They are stresses here, one stress in Afghanistan, and we really don't know what to do. Sometimes I think maybe why I'm here.
You say that they come every day. By do you mean the Pakistan police or the immigration people or social workers? Do you know who, or is it your neighbours? Who is it that is coming every day?
They are the police. They are the police that they are coming every day to our houses, and which I said them, it is my passport, it is my valid visa. What's wrong with you? They said it's because the government ordered that you have to go to Afghan refugees.
Okay. Thank you. Well, we'll come back to
And
you
the
with
police
some more.
they are coming every
Thank
day.
you. We'll come back
Thank
to
you
you
so
with
much.
some more questions. But Fatima, I wonder if you could introduce yourself. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Sure.
And I wonder,
And
is your situation similar or different? How have you come to be in the situation you're in now?
okay. Thank you, and good afternoon, all of you. It's a privilege to this platform to speak to you, and not just as a individual, but as a someone who has been displaced, as someone who has witnessed and lived in consequence of conflict and oppression. Today, I want to talk about who am I and what to do, what did I did, and I'm Fatimah Farahman. I'm 30 years old and I have got my bachelor degree in computer science from Kabul University. And I have worked with national and international organizations in Afghanistan. And throughout my career, I have been deeply in advocacy and human efforts. Before Taliban, life was different, totally different. After work, I used to gather with my friends in cafes, and we always talking about our dreams, our ambitions, and the rights and the bright future that we believe in. We were hopeful. We were hopeful, and we had plans. We felt like we were building something meaningful. When the Taliban took over the government, everything changed. My dreams shattered in an instant, and my friends were forced to flee like me and displaced like me. When the Taliban came, reports of arrests and disappearance heard in media, and those associated with foreigner organization were at great risk. Staying was no longer for me an option. With the background that I had, with the background my family and I had. With little time, we decided to flee to another province, to Bamyan, and we hide from Taliban. But after a while, the landlord of our house sent a video that the Taliban are searching for you. So uh, our landlord confirmed our worst fears, and the Taliban had come looking for us, and we had to immediately leave the Afghanistan. So this spread led us to Iran. We decided to go to Iran, and uh, recently I got married with my husband, and uh, I completed to buy to sell everything, my jewelry, my things of my house, all the savings, to go to Iran. And we decided if you go Iran, we will find a way to go to Cyprus, because we heard that UNHCR is in Cyprus and we can seeking for asylum. But unfortunately, we paid all my savings there. And unfortunately, when I go to airports in Iran, they didn't allow me to go to Cyprus or have my flight, because they say you don't have, because you are Afghan, and by Afghan passport you are not allowed to go to Cyprus, because you have transit to Turkish, and maybe you escape from Turkey. So all my dreams shattered. And again, I struggled for 2 months in Iran. Again, I had no visa. I came back to Afghanistan. I stayed for 4 days, and again decided to flee to Pakistan, because there was not option for me to stay in Afghanistan. And again, I came from border of I crossed from border of Turham, and it's about 3 years that I'm living in Pakistan. I face many challenges, like language barrier, like financial issues, finding a house, and healthcare problems. So these years, when I see the challenges that the people they have, and I observe them, my friends and I decided to create a people's council that we help to Afghan women who flee from Afghanistan because of the forced marriage. And we came here and we try to help them. We try to provide a shelter for them. We provide to language and skill classes like terrain classes or the language classes for them. Because I understand that it's very hard for me and for them as well. So we create this Peoples of Council for them. And beside that, when I see in these 3 years, I raised my voice for Afghan women in Afghanistan and Pakistan. So I tried to show the situation of Afghan women in Pakistan and Afghanistan. And all the time, my friend and I, we participated in demonstrations. We have a movement by the name of Justice Seeking Movement. We try to raise our voice and show that the world should not recognize the Taliban, and they should recognize the gender apartheid. So all the time I struggle for awareness, for helping them, and because I understand the pain of these displacement people. Three things that I saw that people suffer from them when it's financial problems. The second is healthcare and mental health issue, depression and anxiety. The third one is that recently happened that people don't have valid documents or deportation from Pakistan. That recently my family suffered from this. One of my sister that she was a journalist in Afghanistan, and an organization carried them, evacuated them to Pakistan. So she's about more than 3 years that lives in Islamabad and got severe depression. We went to many hospitals in Pakistan, but at the end of all the examination, all the laboratory tests, they say that she got severe depression, and she fainted suddenly. This is one of the stories that happened in my family. And the other one, in these recent days, the deportations from Pakistan, that people, they don't have anything for their living, but even because they cannot go back to Afghanistan, they try to stay in Pakistan because this is just the option that they have. So, but the police every day arrest them, even they have a valid visa or they don't have. 4 days ago, the police came to my mom's house and they wanted to arrest two of my sisters, and they flee from Afghanistan here. They don't have any options, so the police wanted to arrest them, and they brought many excuses that they don't arrest us. Shockingly, the police say that if you want, I will give you 1 day allowance that you stay, and I will not deport you for 1 day, but you have to go with me for date and having dinner with us. So finally, they decided to go to at 1 o'clock at night. They shifted to a hostel, my family, and 4 days being in a hostel and afraid they cannot go outside. After that, they shifted to a rural area and lived in Islamabad. This is not just the story of just my family or mine. This is the story of all the refugees that they suffer from this situation.
Fatimah, I mean, that is a horrific story, but it does echo what Zohal was saying. But I have deep admiration for you for being able to speak out about it and surviving it. But it does seem that, and you talked about gender apartheid, it does seem as though women and girls are particularly facing the brunt of this. Both of you spoke about forced marriage. and about the threats and intimidation of being women and girls on your own. Do you think that I'm right to make that assumption? Is that what you're seeing on the ground, Fatimah?
Sorry, can you say that again?
Do you think there is gender apartheid when it comes to the Zohal, you're nodding. Maybe I'll ask you, Zohal. What do you think? Do you think women and girls have it particularly badly if they're displaced? Yes, for sure. Let me bring Belinda in at this point. Belinda, we've been hearing from Zohal and Fatimah how they came to be displaced. I know that you're unfortunately in a similar situation. I wonder, could you tell us when the displacement first happened, did you get help and support? Did you have access to healthcare? Were you consulted on what you needed? Belinda, I'm not sure if you're on mute or not. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Lovely. So introduce yourself a little bit and tell us when you first got displaced, did you get the help and support that you needed, please?
Yes, I'm Belinda Nabintu, a 22 years old university student in Bukavu, the Republic of Congo. A few weeks ago, Bukavu, South Kivu got attacked with the rebels of M23. Yeah, when entering South Kivu around Nyabibwe, because I come from Calais, I was scared. I live in Bukavu at the hostel, the university campus, and it was everyone was running home. Everyone was getting back home, so I tried as well to go home and find a safety place to stay. But then on my way back home, I met, we were working alongside the Congolese army. We called the Wazalendo, and that's why I got. That's where I got raped. It was such a painful moment, and it's still such a painful experience. I don't know if one day I'll ever forgive or forget what I went through.
Belinda, I'm just so deeply sorry for what you've experienced. No one should ever have to go through that. And I really admire you for being able to come here and share your story. What we're doing in the inquiry is looking at what happens when people are displaced from their homes, and whether or not what the UK does is, can we get the camera? Whether or not what the UK does is able to help in any way and secure justice in any way. So what you're doing for us is extremely helpful by telling your story. So thank you. You won't ever forget this, but hopefully you can find a way to go forward with this. Can we get the camera, please? So thank you very much for sharing your testimony. We really appreciate it. I wonder if I could bring in some of my colleagues. So I think, Brian, you've got a question that you want Zohal to answer?
Yes, it was really a question about how welcoming the local people were in the community into which you were displaced.
Yes. So at first, when I came here, I realized maybe they're really good, but some of them, they were just annoying us.
Mm-hmm.
Like the place that I am, it's a little bit far from the center. So they are looking, when the way we are going, crossing a road, they are just coming and saying, "Oh, France, still you are here? Do you have visas? Do you have passports?" And when we are going to some bazaar or any other places, first they're calling us Chinese people. I said, "No, we are not Chinese, we're Afghan." Then they are starting, "How you could live there? You have to go," and saying everything like that. Just one shopkeeper is here, and he's just saying, why the police are doing like this, and we are afraid of the police. But others, trust me, we are really annoying by them a lot.
Right. And Fatima, with you.
The truth of the local people are before the deportation of Pakistan, it was a little bit good, and it is different in areas. In rural areas, no, they're treating the people with people with Afghan refugee. It's not good, but in Islamabad, in city, in so the people who are educated, they were a little good. But recently, even when the police arrest Afghans, the local looking badly toward us. And even when the police came to arrest Afghans, the local people tried to show the other Afghans, the other houses of Afghans, and they report them. One thing that happened in my family is that 4 days ago the police came. It was two male and one female, and it was one local man that came with them. So they wanted to arrest two of my sister after, and they allowed just for 1 day if they renew your visa extension, you can stay. Otherwise, tomorrow we will come and arrest you. So they, two of my sister, they afraid of that situation, and they decided to come to my home. So at 11 o'clock at night, the other guy, the local man, he followed my sisters, and they afraid too much. That's why they relocated to a hostel. We shifted them to a hostel in 1 o'clock at night. And yeah, even the landlord of the houses report them. The shopkeepers, the local people, they misbehave with Afghans.
Right. Is Belinda still with us, or is she's not? Could I go on and ask about any programs that are there to help you, and how that's working to enable you to integrate into the local community? Are there any programs to help you? Start again with you, Zohal.
Yeah, actually, I tried a lot to call UDCR and another offices, but unfortunately, they directly tell us that we aren't able to help Afghan refugees. When the last day I remember, I went for a job in a restaurant, and there were a person that he's talking Persian. So I went there and I asked him, "You're talking Persian? Are you working in some place or communities, like if you can help for Afghan refugees or also any assistance for them?" They avoid that, said, "No, I'm not working for Afghan and I'm not speaking Persian." Unfortunately, no one is here nowadays helping. They are scared of helping Afghans in programs. Of course, they are not running anything yet.
Thank you. Noah.
We've heard a bit about the support that's come through in the form of direct cash transfers, cash assistance. Could you tell us a bit more about the benefits of that support that you've received?
Have either of you had direct cash transfers as a way of supporting?
Sorry, pardon me, ma'am. What you said? Sorry.
Sorry, have either of you received support in the way of cash transfers, or food parcels, or have you received any support?
I'm saying about cash, of course. Who will help us? Just there were like one community. Sometimes I'm searching Google a lot to find any camps, any communities. When I texted them, they are saying, your Afghans say that you are Afghan people and you are here. You have to go back your country. You have to build your country. I said, I'm an Afghan. How can I go? Especially I'm a girl. Then said, okay, no problem. You can go and marry. It is life.
Wow.
You know, I want to tell you something. When the first month, when the police came to our house, They told me, why you are without male in your house? I said, I don't have husband, so still I'm single because I'm searching still for my studying. And my brother, my brother and my father and my uncle, they're in Afghanistan. They're not here. You guys are deported them. And they said, how it's possible? We will come again and check your house. Why this house is without a male? And it was really heartbreaking. And sometimes when, as Fatima mentioned, they're related to areas. And I sometimes will go for shopping and want to buy something and wearing very long clothes. They told me, you are with not husband? How it is possible? You are still single? So no one is helping us, not food, not cash and anything. And I'm trying a lot, but unfortunately we couldn't able to help by anyone, any communities, any organization, and anything, unfortunately.
Fatima, have you had any experience of cash transfer or food parcels or any support on the ground?
Yes.
Individually, I haven't received any cash assistance or any support from any organization, but I've seen some of the Afghan refugees who are living in Islamabad. They receive some cash assistance from some organization or some kind of another support, like some tailoring class, beautician classes that it's some vocational training classes that supported from charities. They can join these kind of classes, and some organization like IOM, UNHCR, some another organization like Inspired Hub. These are some there are some organizations that are under working of UNHCR, so they provide some beneficiaries or provide some cash assistance for some Afghan refugee. But though I tried sometimes when I called them, I need for a cash assistance. I'm living in a bad situation. They ask, okay, they say, do you have husband? Yeah, I have husband, and even my husband he is unemployed for 3 years that we are living in Pakistan. They say, okay, we just can help those who are family headed. We can just help those families, but because you have husband, we cannot provide any service for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, I want to say something here. When I called them, they are saying girls are alone here, so how we can provide to all of them? We can access to all of them. They are always telling me you have to wait, and I don't know. Still, I'm waiting, but now the phone are just they are not answering our phone. But the last time that I had to call for them, they said you have to wait, and still I'm waiting.
Not good.
Yes,
My colleague David, please.
the support. Hello.
Linda.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Belinda?
I wanted to talk about the support that we have received here in Congo currently. We received support from mostly the Christian organizations, like, and took me to the hospital. They have been so helpful. But then other organizations are not showing up. Accommodation has been a very big issue for us. And then the fact that we do not have where to stay, we do not have where to live, puts us again in a lot of insecure conditions. But then churches, parishes all over here have been hopeful. We have been sleeping in, but then the conditions are not what we could wish to have. It is very hard to get water. It is very hard to get food. Medication is an issue. Accommodation is an issue. And in the process, more girls are being raped. Even young boys are being raped. And we don't know where we are heading. It is just so painful.
Belinda, it sounds like hell that you're living in, and I don't
Yes.
know how you have the strength to talk to us, but thank you very much for doing so. And I'm really glad that the churches are stepping up.
If I can add something, because of the insecure situation, because of what we are going through and the condition we are living in, I even lost my mom last Monday because she had an heart attack, and that's how she passed on. The pain is too much. It's too much to bear.
It's too much for anyone to bear, and I'm just so sorry for what you're experiencing now. Thank you all very, very much for coming and talking to us. I feel guilty that we've asked you to explain something that is so personal and powerful, and something that you're still living through. So I'm really, really grateful for what you've told us, and we will make sure that we treasure that and use your very powerful words to try and make a difference going forward. And can I also to say to people that might have been watching this, I understand that it's been difficult for you to watch, but this is what people unfortunately around the globe are dealing with right now. So I think we have to air that. But again, sorry for people who might have found that a disturbing session. And thank you to the three of you. You are amazing, powerful women, and I have so much admiration for you, and I'm so grateful that you came and gave us information today. So thank you all very much, and thank you, and we will use your words wisely. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
I'd
you.
like to bring in our next panel, please. We are fortunate to have two witnesses. We've got Katy, who is the deputy. We've got Katy coming up on the screen. Katy, when you can, if you could put your camera on, if you've got bandwidth for it. Hello, Katy. Would you like to introduce yourself and the organisation that you work for, please?
Thank you very much. My name is Katy Nembe. I work for CAFOD, and I am the Deputy Country Representative for CAFOD DRC. Thank you. I'm based in Goma.
Thank you very much. And Tinebeb, I wonder if you could do the same. Introduce yourself and tell us where you are and who you're working for.
Hello, my name is Tinebeb Berhane. I'm the Country Director for ActionAid Ethiopia. I am based in Addis Ababa.
Thank you both very much for being here. I'm not sure how much you heard of our previous witnesses explaining their experiences. It was pretty tough for us to hear, but nothing compared to what it is for them to bear on a daily basis. So thank you both for all that you're doing in country to try and support particularly women and girls. I wonder, Tinebeb, if I could sort of start with you, what percentages of people do you think you're working with who are displaced by conflict and climate change?
Thank you very much for having me. Working in the humanitarian sector in general in my country has become one of the big programs for many organizations who have all been not in the humanitarian sector. My organization is one of it. Especially for the last 5-6 years, we are experiencing a growing humanitarian crisis induced by climate, as well as internal conflict, where we have millions of displaced persons. So usually it ranges from 50% up to 70%, and many other like-minded organizations are doing a lot in responding to the humanitarian crisis in general. Because we have IDPs, millions of them, and also refugees coming from neighboring countries. As you know, the crisis in the Sudan, we already have refugees from Eritrea and other neighboring countries. So on top of that, the internal conflict and the protracted climate crisis is affecting communities, and the number is increasing a lot more from time to time. According to the UN OCHA data of 2024, we had 4 million internal displaced persons. So my organization has been supporting these communities since 2018. We supported 800,000 affected communities. Most of them are women and girls.
And from your personal experience of working in this area, do you think that 50% has always roughly been the number of people who are displaced, whether it's internally or across borders, as a consequence of conflict and climate, or has that changed in any way?
In a given year, we have official data shows that we have 20 million on average who need food assistance and humanitarian assistance in the country. And from that, 4 million in a given time are the internal displaced persons. So it's difficult to say it's 50% of IDPs, but this number, the official number, it doesn't show that it's really decreasing, it's increasing for many, many reasons, because of the ongoing situation in the country and also the neighboring countries. But also the assistance is affected by the shortage of funds that come into the country. The recent development is also very challenging for this country. So many organizations, they have increased the number of targets or right holders who are supporting, whom others are supporting, has increased significantly because of this crisis that's going on in different communities.
Thank you. Brian.
Thank you. A question to you, Katy. Women and girls face additional difficulties with displacement. What steps do you take to ensure their safety?
Well, thank you very much for that question. Yes, women and girls are really the first ones to be affected by the displacement, since they're the ones who are really carrying the burden of the displacement due to man-made and natural disasters as well. But the impact of this is quite significant to women, because women are the most vulnerable. They are the ones who are unable to defend themselves in such context, without forgetting elements related to violence, elements related to protection, related to these women and girls who are significantly affected in crisis.
Tell us what steps you take to ensure their safety, please.
In order to ensure the safety of the women and girls in the displaced context, there are several measures that we take as CAFOD. First of all, I have to mention that CAFOD, our ways of working, we are community-based. We work with local partners, and we make sure that we equip the local partner with capacity to be able to respond best to the needs of the people who are displaced, including other people who are vulnerable. What I want to mean by that is that when we work with local partners, that means we work with people, with organizations that are based in community and understand better the needs of the community, meaning that they are there before a crisis, during the crisis, and after the crisis. So in that way, they understand better the dynamics of the crisis, of the challenge, and they're able to come up with community-based or best solution to be able to fill up the needs of the women and the girls. Now, to answer your question, what we do to alleviate the challenge, we usually make sure that the community are well trained on safety and accessibility, and make sure that our program are well adapted, and make sure that the safeguarding elements of the community is taken into account, such that even our program do not do more harm to the community. This includes trainings that are provided to community-based groups, and even the groups of the women who are displaced, so that they can be able to support themselves and bring in the group support even if they move from one area to another, first of all, what we have to do is to identify how best we penetrate and how best we get these women together and understand better their problem, and be able to now, train those who bring support, but also train them to be able to support themselves, because even when we are not there, they need to be able to carry forward and replicate the message, the support to each other, and be able to reach even more number as compared to what we can reach.
Thank you, Katy. And how important is justice to displaced people who have suffered gender-based violence? How important is that justice?
Justice is very, very important. I have to mention that within the pack, the full pack of support that is provided to women and girls that are affected by gender-based violence, justice is one of the key elements. But I have to mention that the challenge that is related to this, especially in conflict, in sensitive, in fragile context, is very, 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 very significant to mention. Because when we identify, there's a circle of support that we definitely provide through our local system that we work with our partner, starting from identifying the victim throughout the psychosocial support, and then the referral mechanism to the medical support, and then the social integration, and why not the judicial support, which is now what is key in restoring the dignity even of the very person. But in many cases, in such context like in DRC, it is very difficult to reach up to there because of the fragility of the context. And whatever the case, we try as much as possible. We even try to bring in mobile clinics to be able to provide, judicial support that can be provided to a victim of gender-based violence. Thank you.
Katy, thank you very much. And Tinebeb, over to you now. How do you ensure that your staff are trained in gender-sensitive responses to displacement?
Well, my organization is Gender Justice Good Governance Organization. So what we do, the center of it is gender justice, because in a very highly patriarchal society like ours, the gender element is not limited to stereotypes. Rather, it is all about power dynamics. So our staff are trained in gender transformative programming, where we see change from the individual to the collective, to the system and the culture, because that is what makes it a full circle of the gender work in general. So it's supported by our strategic plan and also a gender transformative programming manual. We also have guidelines and appropriate tools to employ and to check and balance our quality programming from the gender lens perspective. We have a program framework, we have a monitoring and evaluation and learning framework that is gender is embedded in the entire program system. So the training of the staff is a very essential element of capacity building, but also ensuring quality of our program in general.
And can you tell us how you include women and girls in the design of the support packages?
That's a very good question. One of the principle of ActionAid work is a human rights-based approach, where participatory approach is a central element of our work. It's a pillar of our work. So to give you an example, in IDP settings, for instance, when we support the displaced persons in that particular IDP camps, we have a signature that we apply women and young people leadership. So the women are organized from the camp, from the very beginning of the entire response process, and they are the ones actually who will be leading, supported by us and the local governments, to identify the right holders who need the assistance, and also they will watch the whole process, the response mechanism, or they also report. As protection is also one of the central work that we have, we organize the women as a protection group so that they will report when they see any potential of gender-based violence during the response mechanism, but also reporting girls and women who face such challenge. So the women leadership is our signature, our principle, and is also one of our accountability mechanism where that we started the work from that until the end of the work that we're doing up to the evaluation. So the participatory process is including the leadership. And when we design a particular response, whether it is cash, whether it is food or water, actually the need should come from the community itself. We are not there to prescribe what they need. Rather, we start by having that discussion and in a very participatory methodology to tell us what is it that they need, because we have a very diverse community members in this country. So one community, what they eat is completely different from the other community, what they eat. So we get the information, what is exactly that they want, that we design our response, our program, and our funding allocation as well, based on the need of the community. So that's how it looks like when it comes to participation.
Tinebeb, thank you very much.
Tinebeb, what a better world it would be if all development worked on the same principles that you've just outlined. And on that, can I bring in James?
Thank you, Chair. Just to come to Katy, I think we just wanted to turn attention specifically to children. I think 30% of the world's population are children, but 40% of all forcibly displaced people are children, and that's been growing over time. So how do you ensure that growing need, displaced children, how do you ensure that they continue to receive an appropriate education?
Well, thank you very much for the question. What we first of all make sure that in our program, we make sure that we do a proper mapping of the problem in the community that we work with. And some of these key issues and key people that are affected are definitely children and young people. And we make intentional effort to target children that are at risk in this context, to be able to bring them closer and recuperate them, particularly in this crisis and fragile context. Like in mining area, we have a program that are supporting children that are working in the mining areas. We try to target children that are affected by the crisis. Maybe we call them ex-combatant, particularly those that are most affected, and try to bring them closer to reintegration. Make sure that we get them out of danger first, and also alongside that, ensure that at least the reunification and also the reintegration element of these children is taken into account. It's a lot of work. It's a process to get these children from this risky area. You're talking about children who are affected by the conflict, children who are used as labor, very difficult context to reconcile even these children with themselves first and be able to, bring recuperation to these children. That means, first of all, psychosocial element to these children, and also bring them now to the element of teaching them like life skills. That could be like welding, rapid education to recuperate their social reintegration elements. We also try to bring them to, rapid education to be able to give them alphabetization, if I may say so, and make sure that alongside that they learn life skills that can be able to gain them, to give them, the know-how and be able to live like normal persons and live a better future.
And in order for them to be able to access those life skills as effectively as possible, what other broader services or support mechanisms are required for those children? So Counselling might be an example. What other things need to be done to make sure that those children are able to access the broader skills and education offer?
The protection of these children is very key. These children, the element of protection, we need to ask ourselves why these children find themselves in those situations. And definitely one of the lying causes is related to their protection. Already living in very fragile context, in a difficult context, in a poverty, in climate affected area, the livelihood of the children is already at risk. And then now alongside that, there is now the shock related to the crisis. Make sure that these children are protected. At least make sure we get them from this context and ensure their protection. Protection means, like ensure like the element of peace is taken into account to be able to speak about the reintegration and the protection of these children, to be able to bring forward the psychosocial element. Some of these children have been accused of being, witch or many stereotypes related to these children. Some of them have been ex-combatant, and that they have found themselves in those situations not because they like, but because the situation in which they found themselves did not give them much option to be able to take the better option. So the element of protection is key.
So practically then, for those children, what form does that protection take?
For these children, for instance, I will talk about what our work, our program do. We try to identify these children, work if it is to work with, for instance, those coming from uncontrolled group. We work with transit houses and transit committee that recuperate them from those groups, and then we put them in transit center where we are able to provide like the psychosocial element and be able to train them, bring the capacity, enable them to identify themselves being as children first of all, and reconcile themselves with their past. And that is the whole pack of psychosocial element before even taking any further step to speak about education, because one of the first key things that need to be taken into account is the effect of this crisis to these children that is very significant.
And just before I switch across, can I just ask you about direct cash assistance? Is that something that you're involved with, Katy? And what do you see as working well, and maybe some of the challenges associated with that?
Yes, direct cash is the modality that is now being used, particularly in DRC in this context, because it helps. What we have identified is that it helps to be able it enables the family to be able to respond best to different needs of the affected family, of the vulnerable family, unlike direct distribution that comes with, it's limited, and it's one thing that, providing like, a pack of maize or something like that, that is just that. But cash is it's used for different needs of the household, meaning that it covers multidimensional areas of the needs of the family to be able to respond best to the needs of these people that are displaced. One of the best method that is now being, we are also using it in this context is the multi-purpose cash, which is the family can use it to buy food, it can use it to buy charcoal or something that is around and about the needs of the family that suits best, because research has also demonstrated that many times direct distribution has not been the best solution. The next day, what we have witnessed, for instance, in this context, is to see this direct element, that direct item are being sold in the market. Unlike when the cash is there, the family is there, is able to respond best to the needs that is quite pressing in the affected context.
Tinebeb, did you share that view? Where would you see cash working or maybe not working as effectively with these communities?
Well,
Yes.
in fact, it's a best modality, especially looking at from the empowerment point of view, as we normally primarily target women in the response mechanism for ActionAid. It is very convenient for them because they will have 100% control over their money. And it also covers, many household issues. It fills a gap. Whatever they want, they will buy with it, and it has a direct impact on the entire family. I can also talk about it from the perspective of, minimizing the risk of diversion. Because normally when you provide other items, especially if it is not participatory and it's not what they want, communities, they tend to sell that to the market, which means at an indication of, there is a huge gap at the household level, and this is not what they want. When we provide cash, they buy what's necessary for the family. So it is a most empowering mechanism that we use, and it is the best modality in a given community, especially if market is available. And during that, in that process, of course, it is important to keep in mind that safety has to be provided for the women, and we have to invest more for them to become, safe in terms of accessing the cash. Usually, we use a bank system. Opening an account for them, for each of them, and we transfer money through their bank, and we make an arrangement with the local banks, for them to disperse this cash. So it is not only basic mechanism, but it's also empowering especially for the women.
Thank you for that. And just in terms of ActionAid, obviously it does both development work and it does humanitarian work. How does your time split between the two? Where do you and does that change depending on the types of groups that you're working with?
Well, obviously, when we do humanitarian response, it's a bit different from doing a long-term development work. The magnitude, the speed, the logistics that you need, the human skill that you need is completely different from doing the humanitarian work, from the development work. We strike the balance because we are also a development-oriented organization, and we also see resilience building in our humanitarian response mechanisms. So we try to balance, which means I have a team who are focusing on the humanitarian work. I also have a team who will be focusing on the, on the development work. But of course, for the management and for the leadership, whenever we have humanitarian response, that means we have to dedicate more time because it is also time-sensitive matter, because we have to reach to the communities at the right time, and also depending on the kind of work that you do. If it is, for instance, food assistance, it involves logistics, which means we have to buy the food from the market, and also we have to transport it to the communities. We have to do this distribution. It's a completely different kind of work. And in terms of our internal policies and procedures, as we cannot deal the humanitarian response with a normal long-term development work kind of logistics support, we reviewed our policies, internal policies and systems, so that it will accommodate the humanitarian response, so that because it's fast, it's a very deep, and the amount of time and energy it takes is huge. So we try to balance, but when we have a response, humanitarian response, that means the management have to take, tremendous amount of time to focus on that because of its sensitivity, its time sensitivity, and also the process is very, very, heavy in its nature.
David.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to ask about funding. So it'd be helpful to ask you both how you're currently getting funding, and then I have a follow-up question regarding the bigger picture of what's happened in the US and the UK on aid spending. Thank you.
You first.
Yes, I will start first. Yeah, funding is really. I have to mention that the current context. First of all, we are working in very protected context of crisis, and funding is really a challenge. And the cut, if we are to talk about the cuts of funding, these have significant, huge impact on the lives of the people around the globe, but also in a context such as DRC, where the context is already fragile. We're talking about more than 2-3 decades of conflict, and talking about now aid cut is definitely devastating. It has devastating impact on the lives of the people, where poverty is already very rampant in the community, talking about some impact of the climate change and conflict. Now, to add on that, the aid cut is definitely heavy, and if we are to talk about this on the impact of this on the lives of the women and children, it is even difficult because many of these depends on agriculture, depends on their livelihood that are definitely going to be significantly affected. Where are they going to be getting seeds? Or those kind of elements, the basic needs are already, fragile, and adding on top of this, the pressure of aid cuts is definitely going to be having a significant. We like in the context of DRC, we can already feel that, for instance, with USAID, the impact is huge.
Thank you, Katy.
Yeah, for us, we use a diverse funding streams, but it is very concerning that generally globally the ODA is changing, completely changing. Where we have compounded and protracted crisis, millions of population heavily depends on this ODA assistance. What we are seeing is the dwindling funding in general. So that's a reality for my country as well. Recently, because of the stop work order by the USAID, we are so afraid that it is going to be a disaster, actually, because in Ethiopia, more than 70% of the humanitarian support and even development support it comes from that grant. So many organizations, they have already stopped the work, already redundant their staff, terminated contracts, thousands of them actually, and millions of population are dependent on this assistance. So it has never been, not even close to 50%. On annual basis, we have a humanitarian plan with a funding gap. It has never reached even near 50%. It's always under. So, and from that, the significant amount comes from the USAID fund and also from other European countries. And what we are fearing is the gap that is created by this stop work order will never be filled by any other donors. So it's going to be catastrophic, to be honest. And we are so much worried about what's happening. And I'm also following up what's the announcement by the UK government. It does also adds a fuel on our panic. We are panicking because the UK government for my country is a good donor, a good supporter of our work in general, both in development and humanitarian, and also supporting the bilaterally from the government and also the UN agencies. So multilateralism is also compromised. Really, for international diplomacy is going to be compromised because it is all about our innocent people who need our support. This is where these cuts are really impacting. And these citizens, actually, they know nothing about this global dynamics, nothing. What they know is they are hungry, they are thirsty, they are, sexually violated, they need food, water, education, medical assistance, and protection. And that's heavily supported and provided by organizations like us and by our development partners in the global north. This is a situation at the ground, so we don't know what to do, to be honest, and we are so much worried what's going to happen next with all these crises that's happening globally.
Thank you both. Just to follow up on that, what we haven't yet got clarity from the government as to where the cuts will fall. We've heard them talk about essentially, although they haven't used these words exactly, protecting aid spend to Ukraine, to Gaza and Sudan, but that of course leaves countries like yourselves that are not being talked about in that way at the moment. Can I ask, you made the sort of point about the overall impact, particularly in Ethiopia, for example, the support that our government has been given to UN agencies and so on, but just for clarity, can I ask, do either of your organisations work in Congo or Ethiopia? Do you currently receive UK aid? And if so, could you just talk briefly about the amounts and your sort of worries on that in that regard, if that makes sense?
Yeah, for us, for ActionAid, in Ethiopia, we have a project on FGM that is supported by FCDO. It's a very good, strong program that we are having at the moment, supporting communities who are going through this, this issue, FGM in general. So we are in the last year of FGM projects funded by FCDO. It's a good support, although we have been experiencing cuts from now and then. But still, we try to keep on going. Even for this year, there was a significant amount of cuts, which we have to downsize our program and downsize our support for these communities. It's women and girls actually who have taken part in this programming. So this is a real the real situation in the country, and I know many other organizations also receive funding from FCDO. So with the little that we have, with the cut that we are experiencing, again, this direction from the UK government is also a bit shocking and also disappointing, because what we were expecting is actually our other allies, other than the US side, they will step up and try their best to fill bare minimum, to continue what their commitment is. Because we are experiencing a lot of crisis, for multidimensional crisis. That is what's really going through now for us.
Yeah, just like Tinebeb had mentioned, in DRC as well, many of our partners are receiving funding through the humanitarian funds, which is funded by FCDO as well. So if we are to talk about the impact of this, definitely the cuts, even if it has not been like mentioned directly for DRC yet, if we are to talk about the cuts, definitely it's going to be putting more pressure even on the access of the funding for particularly these local organizations that not have much flexibility, and that is quite concerning, because one of the elements that is key if you're talking about targeting and also localization is the access for funding for these community-based or organizations that are working in the community and with the community. And if we are talking about the funding cuts, it's definitely going to leave very little flexibility for these organizations that already have pressure on access to funding. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. A question for both of you, please. I wonder if you can think what might have stopped people from being displaced from their homes, and what do you think will enable the people that you work with to go back to their homes. Tinebeb, if I could ask you first, please.
Well, the most fundamental thing is to work on the peace building initiatives, because many have left their homes because of the internal conflict. So that, peace, coexistence, peace dialogue, and negotiations with stakeholders is very critical. And until then, wherever they are, I think there must be a durable solution where communities will also, the IDPs especially, will also have a dignified life wherever they are, and voluntary repatriation is also very critical. For us, the most important thing is, to have a peace dialogue with various, stakeholders, as a significant number of them are also displaced because of the climate-induced crisis. I think we need solidarity from our allies in the global north, to stop the factors that really perpetuating all this, climate crisis, because we are experiencing drought, flood, and what have you from years to years. And because of that, the resources are dwindling and also becoming a source of conflict between communities themselves, because they are fighting over meager resources for their cattle and for everything. So I think, it's a multidimensional, but having a nexus approach. While we support them with humanitarian assistance, until they have a durable solution, we should also think about, resilience building, which has a development element. We have to also work on the climate crisis issues. Solidarity is important globally, and peace building. So for us, it's a quadruple nexus approach that we need to have into place to help these communities. But the fundamental thing is the peace and the climate issue has to be resolved.
Thank you. Katy?
Alongside that, just for the context of DRC, I think peace is the key element. Peace is the key thing behind the displacement of the population in DRC, because when you talk about you talk to these displaced people, they will tell you, I have left my livelihood behind because of the crisis, and I am able to work by myself and be able to reestablish myself if only peace is there. I am willing to go back home if peace is assured. So the elements of climate change is not really so much pressure for DRC, but peace is the thing. And the triple nexus is the element, as my colleague has mentioned, working to establish peace, to make sure that at least there is a transit. When we talk about dialogue, leave alone the element of fighting, but dialogue. People can talk. In the African context, dialogue is key, and these things have to be, accompanied, and the international community and even the UK itself has to be, alongside that, to be able to accompany peace process that will be able to take people back to their community. And this, the repatriation process alongside this is really key. Make sure that people are prepared to leave the camp, and make sure that their home is ready to welcome them, and how best they re-establish themselves to be able to rebuild their livelihood even after the crisis. I'm sure if peace is established, community will be able to re-flourish and regain their dignity and live a normal life and fill up the needs that is around these people.
Katy, that's a wonderful point to end on. Peace and regaining dignity and leading a noble life is something I hope everybody on the planet is able to achieve, but with 120 plus conflicts around the globe at the moment, that seems a very long way off. And of course, that's one of the things that development is really good at, empowering civil society, holding governments to account, and early intervention to prevent wars from happening. Thank you both very much for all that you do on the ground, but also for giving us your time today. We really, really appreciate it. Order, this session is now closed.